Alright guys, so here we go. Skidoosh frame build type thing. This isn't going to be a total solder every component type video. I'm just going to show you the frame and stuff because I already have all the guts made. I'm just swapping frames over because I finally crashed the original one. And pardon my high dollar studio here. I just got the GoPro on my head, and I use my phone up here so I can kind of see and keep everything in shot so you guys can see it. So here's the original, the prototype I finally almost settled on, but the important thing with this was the carbon fiber. Because I crashed this many times, and I finally broke the little nerves right here, and that's all that broke. This frame is still very flyable, but couple things. If you can see, like I said, I crashed this many times, and let me see if you guys can see that. See where the motor, the arms have smacked the ground right there, and it just kind of mushed a little bit instead of shattering. Well, that's what I was looking for in the carbon fiber. If I make the carbon fiber, it's still very strong. But if you make the carbon fiber too hard, when it hits, it shatters, it delaminates. So it needs to be soft enough so it doesn't delaminate or shatter, and also that softness won't carry as much resonance vibration through to your flight controller, but it also needs to be hard enough so that it's rigid and durable, you know, so that it's just not flopping in the wind. Like, hang on a second, I'll show you guys something. Here's one of the carbon fiber dealers that promised me they had unbreakable carbon fiber, sent me this. Really? Yeah, sure, it's never gonna break, but how in the world am I gonna fly that? So I went through a lot of testing in carbon fiber before I finally found just the perfect balance that I was looking for. And now this is the final version of the frame. I flew this first version for like I said, a long time. And another thing I had to adjust on this first version, the cheeks for the camera, the holes in the cheeks were a little off. So when the camera went in, it was up against this top standoff here, and you couldn't adjust the camera up and down, so I moved the holes. So anyway, that was the original version of the frame, and now I'm gonna swap it over. So here's what the frame comes with. You'll get your three 15mm standoffs, and all the screws that'll go with it. Here's the plate, the battery plate. It comes with the little here's the little antenna thing that clicks in the back to hold the antenna in place, because I always hated the antenna sticking out of the top. And you can flip this over. I actually first made this for the you can see here it has the slots for zippy ties to put the VTX on the top, but I actually, on mine, I ended up mounting it on the bottom, and I flipped this over, and you'll see that in a minute. That way there's nothing attached to the top plate, so I could just take the top plate off to service anything. There was nothing attached to it at all. So there's that, and then it comes with your cheeks for the camera mount, and they just pop in here. In these little slots in the frame. And the tolerances are really tight. Hang on a sec while I get these in there, kind of, sort of. There we go. I have the tolerances super tight on these. because I wanted everything to be strong at the end of the day. So what I do is I get them started in there, and then we'll slide the nuts in there and pull them down. And then you have your 3 standoffs, and this guy here. And then your top plate slides into these little slots right here. I don't know if you guys can see those. Right there, those little notches. That's why you only need the 1 standoff. And it snaps in there, like so. And then there's your frame. I wanted to keep it super simple. Not a bunch of hardware and craziness and whatever. And I use 10mm screws in here with the aluminum standoffs, and 10mm in the bottom. You guys can do, obviously you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to try to save a couple grams and put some shorter screws in, by all means. But this is the way I built it and tested it. It's been durable as all get out. And then I use, because this top plate is only, the bottom plate is 4mm and the top plate is only 2mm, so I use the 6mm screws in the top plate. All right, so let's stick this thing together here real quick, and I'll show you something else. Let's start out. Well, first of all, I'm using a Maytech all-in-one board, so we're going to put the little rubber grommets on here, and I'm using the steel screws on the rubber grommets, the rubber standoff deals, but I'm going to use just a dab of Loctite on there to put these on with, because I like to leave them loose so we don't have, you know, we don't need to clamp them down on there. But I also don't want them falling out. So just a little dab of Loctite, and pop the grommets on there. These screws are tiny for my big giant fingers, so I have to use the little guy here in order to dip them before I get the crap all over my fingers. Another thing, real quick, I also designed this frame. If you see the 4 holes in the back here, I designed it so it could also take a run cam split. So you can put the flight controller on here, and then use the long cable for the run cam split, and put the run cam split board in the back, and it will still fit under the 15mm standoffs. That being said, when I ship these frames, this isn't the exact ones, but it will come with another set of cheeks that doesn't have these notches in the back for the plate, and you'll notice there's extra standoff holes here in the front. So you can use the ones without the notches and use your own. Oops, I'm sorry. The holes are here in the front. So instead of using the single standoff, you can use the cheeks I send you with no notches, and use your own 4 custom standoffs. If you want to use a stack or something else on the frame, you can do it, build it however you want. But this is the way I like it. The battery's nice and low, and everything works perfect. And that being said, if you notice the way the camera mounting is in the cheeks here, that's so it will take a variation of cameras. Like I'm using the Eagle here, and it has the 3 screw layout, kind of like the Fox ear. So the way this is laid out, it will take the Eagle, the run cam split, the Fox ear, all of them will mount in here and be adjustable up and down. That's why all this has been changed from that original design. And you can even use the back bracket back here if you want. You can use all 3 screws in the camera, or like I do, I just put the small screws in here, like so, at first, and just put my standoffs on here a little loose, and these will go through the center holes here, like so. Make sure we got it right side up. And there you go. And then I can put the other 2 screws in there, and or the back screw. I can put all of them in there if I want to, if I really need to brace the camera in, but I haven't found that necessary. I've just been putting the center ones in and the back ones in. So that's the design on the cheeks. And then I have these hollowed out sides here to let extra light through. When I made these sides hollow and flew under like stuffed trees, I mean not hollow, when I made them solid, it shaded the lens a little bit. This lets some extra light in the lens. And then you have this little guy that pops on top right here, and the strap holes. Put your strap through there to mount your GoPro or whatever camera of your choice. But I would say most of us are going to use the GoPro. And that was kind of part of the inspiration for this frame, because I got tired of using, I hate putting those big giant 3D print mounts on top of every freaking thing. Anyway, so let's get back to what we were doing. I'm getting sidetracked here. So, let me go through this real quick too. It took me a long time to get the layout of this carbon. Not a long time, but I wanted the layout perfect, and I went with a one-piece bottom. I know some people don't like that, but there's a couple reasons. The arms are swept back a little bit, so that if you use a split, you can keep the props out of the camera view, for one thing. I would venture to say most people have shied away from that hype right now, but anyway, if you want to, you can. And the way the frame had to be laid out on the board in order to get the carbon fiber right, I can only fit 4 of these on a board. So it's costing me a little bit to get them cut, because I don't want them laid at weird angles. I want the carbon laid just the way it's supposed to be. That way you can see the fibers in the carbon are straight on the arms, and it carries all the way across the body. So that makes this frame with the little extra nerves here. It's made this frame really, really, really freaking strong. So that's that. So the only place you have crossed carbon is on the nose and the rear here. This frame won't twist in the middle, because the layout of the carbon is carried all the way through. I like the squished X mid-mount design for acro flying, because that way with the squished X it's shorter on your pitch access. And then you have the wide stance for the roll access. So it flies really freaking good. Alright, I'm yammering about everything under the sun here. So, let's finish putting this on there. These little standoffs on there. So anyway, I know some of you guys have been waiting. I promised a few people this frame to send out to them for testing, and a couple other guys that are friends of mine, and so on and so forth. But I really wanted to make sure everything was right, guys. So I'm sorry it's taken so long, but this is finally the final version. I think the only other thing, I'll tell you this, there's only one other thing I'm not happy with, and I'll show you later, is I should have carried these battery strap holders all the way to the back, because the battery actually ends up sitting like right here, so the strap doesn't go over it cleanly from the strap mount here. But I've just been putting the strap right on the rear part here. I'll show you that at the end of the deal here too. So anyway, there's our little mounts on there to Loctite it in. We'll set that aside for now, because I like to use it on my motor screws also. Some people don't, but I've had motor screws, the cool guys say, who needs Loctite? Well, I've had them fall out before. I'm sorry, I'll use the Loctite. No, I don't see any point in not using the Loctite, to tell you the truth. So like I said, you can just slip the camera in there with your little standoffs on there, and then I'm gonna just loosely bring it together a little bit here so things are kind of lined up. Excuse my sniffles and my cough. I've been out in the rain. I don't have a car. I ride my motorcycle and my scooter to work every day, so I ride in the rain a lot, and it's getting a little cold here. So now we can just pop this in there like so. Squish her down in there a little bit. Then we'll get these nuts, and all this hardware will be included in the little kit, obviously. Easiest way I've found to put these nuts in there is to take a little pair of pliers, because if you do it with your fingers, the dang thing spins all over the place and it's really hard to get in there, and I'm not having any luck with it right now either. So we want to slide that in there halfway, kind of balance it there while we get the screw in. This part's a little bit fiddly, but it makes for a really solid build at the end of the day, and that's what we really want. And there we go. Once we get it started in there, we can just leave that. We'll get the other one started, and then we'll just pull this down nice and tight. I wanted these tolerances really tight so it didn't cause any vibrations into notches. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I mean. Know what I mean? Y'all know what I mean. Know what I mean? So we just slide that in there just halfway so it balances in there. 10mm screw. Now there's no kind of feet or nothing that come with this thing. You guys can get some like those 3D printed Rotor Riot mounts if you want on here. I prefer just the screws, because I like to I'm really good at landing for one thing. So I don't really need the bouncy little feet. And I also like to slide on stuff. So I like just having the bolts. The bolts sticking out. I'm a rebel like that. But again, like I always say, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a fuck. There's that one. And these are nylon lock. These nuts are nylon lock nuts. So we don't need no Loctite or nothing on them. Got the last one right here. Right. This one probably give me a hassle. It's always the last one, right? To be expected. Maybe not. Maybe it's my lucky day. Except what the heck did I do with the thing? Oh, tighten under my pliers. There we go. Nice. It did go in there. That is fantastic. Now we'll put our little handle on here. This little align kit has been the shiznit. I've had this for several years, and it comes with this little holder and all the little sizes that we use on our quads. I've never found a quad that had a different size from what's been in this little toolkit. So There's a little tip for you for your tools. I just got a couple of these CL Racing F4s. I must say I'm pretty impressed with them so far. I also have one of the Asgard boards on the way to try out. There's been a lot of issues. We've got a crazily soft mount. These what are they, 9260 gyros as opposed to the MPU 6000s. Well, if you're flying Betaflight, right, you can the boards with, like the CL Racing has the F4 chip with the MPU 6000, or the SPI, I'm sorry, the SPI 6000, instead of that crazy 92650 whatever it is that needs to be super soft mounted and is super sensitive to every single vibrate. Well, let me tell you something. That gyro has been used because it supports 32 bits, right? And we have the 32-bit ESCs now, blah, 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 blah. But Betaflight only runs at 8 gigahertz anyway. 8 kilohertz, gigahertz, megahertz, whatever hertz. It only runs at 8. So if you run a loop time at 8 and 8, that's all you need in Betaflight. The rest of it is freaking sales hype, you guys. Sales hype. You don't need it. So I've been going back to some of the boards with the 6000 because there's no need to use that other gyro that's hypersensitive and supports 32 kilohertz because it's not needed for Betaflight. And I fly Betaflight and I like Betaflight, and that's the end of the story. But like I always say, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a fuck. So here we go. Here's our electronics. Look at that, already nice and done up. All nice and pre-filthy. And we'll slide that on there like so. And then I'm going to, I have this super special, I actually like these. I'll show you guys this real quick. You can pop the, if your build so desires. Now, the rear plate will support the Team Black Sheep screw-on deal. It has the little bolt holes in there for the Team Black Sheep guy. But I've been using, on this one, I experimented with this this guy here, the Team Black Sheep blade. You can pop the little the lead off of there and just pop the blade directly on, like I did here. And then I made a little solder bridge right there so it doesn't go anywhere, and I added a little bit of heat shrink on there to make it a little stiffer. But it's been performing freaking fantastic. I like it. Yes sir, I do. So there's that. There's that. There's that. Plug in the camera. Strap everything down. Where's my, here they go. Here they be. Like I said, I wanted this to be super simple, easy to build, good flying. I didn't really go for like a weight savings thing. The dry frame weighs out at like 110. But I wanted it to be freaking strong. I did not design this as like a race frame. This thing is straight up tree bashing, serious freaking acro freestyling frame. And it works perfectly for exactly what I wanted. And there's that. That one's a wee bit crossed out as it appears. And just finger tighten these down on there. No point in going any further than that. It is not needed. So we want to keep this sensitive gyro nice and loose. Not too loose to where it starts looping itself in the vibrations, but loose enough where it doesn't pick up any vibrations. And there's that. I actually need to flip this guy over because I'm putting this on the bottom. Like I said, it's designed to go on the top, which is fine. You can still put this on the top because you can unplug it and still take the plop plate off. But maybe I'll try that on this one. Sure, why not? I'll do it the way I designed to do it. See, this will go up in the middle and then strap, and then the top plate has the slots. And I'm using a XM Plus soldered right to the board here with the little pins, but the front of it also has zippy tie slots if you're going to use if you want to use, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Okay, so then that slides in there like so. It pops in our little back piece. And oh, 6mm thick millimeter spray. Ooh, just dump this whole dang thing out here. I have all this hardware on my desk at work, and I just brought a bag home to show you guys this build, how everything goes together. Skillet. If you're not if you don't know this already, you're not like a experienced type builder type guy, always leave your screws a little bit loose until you get all of them in, and then tighten them all down at once, so it's easier to get things lined up. So now we can crank them. There we go, guys. All I gotta do is put my motors on and take my ESCs back down. There's the Skidoosh frame in all its glory. And then, like I said, our little GoPro holder pops on here. And actually, I forgot something. Let me go back here just a little bit and show you guys this part. This is actually also, tolerances are super tight. It's almost like pressure fitted. So we got to go back here and loosen these guys up just a fuzz, and now you see it fell down in there. Loosen those up just a fuzz and click it in there nice and tight. And then when we crimp these guys back down, it smushes that plate in there. Now I will say, I cannot guarantee that that's going to stay in there by itself. If you're flying around smashing into shit, it's probably going to fly off. You can leave it on there if you want, but that camera is still plenty protected. It's not really necessary. This is mainly just for the GoPro. When your GoPro's strapped on here, obviously it's not going to go anywhere. But as I always say, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. So this was the only thing that I adjusted finally on this final version. Like I said, on the last version I had the holes for the camera mount wrong, so the camera was hitting against that standoff, so you couldn't adjust the camera. So now you got a camera degree. You can run it from 0 degrees all the way up to 50 if you want. If you run it up to 50, you may see this standoff a wee fuzz, but I usually run mine around 40ish. Actually, what I usually do, I'll show you this real quick. We'll just use it here. Here, we'll use one of my broken GoPros. What I usually do is I set my GoPro on there, right? And then I adjust my whatever frame, acro flame. This is at 35 degrees. And then what I'll do is put my FPV camera almost exactly the same as my GoPro camera. So whatever I'm seeing in my goggles, that's what I'm filming. But as I always say, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a fuck. So that's that, guys. There it is. The other thing is, when the GoPro's on here, I have the battery lead over here on the side, and I mount the battery up this way, so you have the little wedge of the battery coming into the GoPro, like so. And that's that. And I actually usually slide this back just a little bit right here because that's the better balance point. That's it. Nice, neat, center of gravity, tight, thing flies freaking amazing. And I'll tell you something else. I'll show you something else. I don't know if I can do it without everything bolted on. In the old days, everybody picked their frame up in the middle to check the center of gravity. Well, if you notice with this frame, it's leaning forward a little bit, right? So when you put the GoPro and the battery on this frame, it's actually, when you grab the center, you see how that's like that? That's where it's balancing at. And the reason I did it like that, instead of making the center of gravity, so when you start flying, your frame is already flying at the camera angle. So your back motors don't have to work extra to lift up the frame and the battery and everything. It's already stuck at that angle, which is another reason I think why this frame flies so good. That worked out freaking perfectly. I moved the balance point, I moved the COG forward just a fuzz so that it actually balances within the 30 to 40 degree camera angle. And you can, obviously you can move your battery back and forth a little bit on here for whatever camera angle you're using. And that's one of the keys to why this frame flies so good. So anyway, there's the frame all together. I don't think you need to see me screw the motors on and do the rest of that stuff. I just wanted to show you guys what was up with the final version of the Skidoosh frame, and hopefully I can get some out to you guys soon. And happy flying, peace, y'all. Peace, peace. Oh, one last thing. Don't forget, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do.